Good evening, everybody. I have decided to do this evening instead of tomorrow. I have written, boy, I can't talk tonight. I've just written a news article about Astro-Theology and the Mazzaroth. And the main reason that inspired me to write this is because it seems that I have pissed off the evangelical Christian community who enjoy trolling my YouTube platform with Bible scriptures and telling me I'm going to hell and I'm doing the work of the devil. So, oh my God, the fear and indoctrination really has to stop. I did a video back in August of 2020 called the Mazzaroth, and that means it's Hebrew for the zodiac. And in my news article, which I will post after this video, um, it talks a little bit about this, but I'm going to go into more deeper detail about it. And I did a lot of research, and I actually used a couple of different, I pulled some stuff from a couple of books, one being one of um, the books that I was given when I was in training for astrology, and that was The Power of the Dragon by Dr. Lewis Torrey. I also used some research from a book called The Keys by an author named Sai, and that his book was really interesting as well. So I'm going to discuss it a little more in detail this evening for you. I'm just going to discuss it a little more in deeper detail on how, if you view the Old and the New Testament of the Bible through Astrophil eyes, you will discover that astrology is the key to opening up biblical secrets. Now, astrologers can clearly decipher when they're reading the Bible between the age of Aries, which was in the First Testament, where God is brutal and relentless, and in the age of Pisces, the Second Testament, where God is kind and loving. The Catholic Church in the early centuries taught astrology to their priests, their bishops, and clergy. But knowledge is power, and therefore astrology became forbidden knowledge for the common folk. Now, let's not forget, too, that the Spanish conquistadors and the missionaries who destroyed precious knowledge from the Maya. My understanding is only 4 books were saved, and one of them, some of you may remember. Oh God, what was his name? I didn't write it in the news article. There was an author that wrote the Dresden Codes. If you give me a second, I will. I think he wrote the Bible Code as well, but yeah, the Bible Code by Michael Drosden. But a lot of history has been destroyed, all in the name of religion in some ways. So it's very sad, to be honest with you. Very, very sad. Astrology is not only used to predict outcomes, but also to make and invent the future. As the saying goes, as above, so below, on earth as it is in heaven. The heavens reflect earth, and it is a time of war in heaven. I know a lot of you have heard me say this before. There's a great unraveling happening, and it's very liberating, but it is also very negative and karmic in nature. It is a time of progress, transformation, chaos, conflict, and revelations. Either you go with the flow of this paradigm shift and try to assimilate the changes happening on this planet, or fight it relentlessly and lose. Not everyone can say they lived through a paradigm shift where we move from one age to another, but here we are, folks. These are incredible times. And 2,165 plus years in the making, because every age is just about 2,165 years. A new great cycle is starting, and that is the age of Aquarius. For many who are indoctrinated by religion, politics, even conspiracy, this will be very difficult for many of you to comprehend or even assimilate. But the world is changing. Knowledge is power, and ignorance will always be evil. Forbidden knowledge is divine wisdom, and the things that will come are to benefit humanity, but also have karmic repercussions of the past too. What I mean by this is not us as individuals, but us as a collective whole, as a group. There's karmic things that we have to answer for, not us personally, but through the ages, all kinds of atrocities. Now, it is in the First Testament, all of the characters from Moses, Ezekiel, and Daniel were all educated in astrology. And a lot of you Christians are going to come at me. Luckily, a lot of those scriptures, none of my followers see because it's, what do you call it? I didn't even know they were flagged messages until a few days ago. They're all flagged messages. So I know a lot of you are going to be upset with me, and I don't really care. Like I said, Moses, Ezekiel, and Daniel, they were all educated in astrology. Then there was Noah's son, Enoch. In the book of Enoch, which is not included in most Bibles, and it will tell you about how Enoch was visited by Archangel Uriel, which means God is my light. Uriel gave Enoch the forbidden knowledge of understanding astrology, or what it was called then, and in Jewish cultures, the Mazzaroth. Uriel taught him all the wisdom of the heavens, the sun, the moon, the stars. The archangel also taught him about the sea and the elements of earth, air, fire, water. This human known as Enoch is now known as Archangel Metatron. This human prophet is only one of two archangels that were once human. The other one is Sandalphon. I believe he was Elijah. Metatron is my favorite, though. I don't know why. I'm just very drawn to that archangel, Metatron. Now, there are many, many scriptures in the Bible that correlate with a lot of astrology, and I've kind of bookmarked some pages here I want to read to you. Let's start off with, I'm not going to sit here and read a whole lot of these because it would be very time consuming. And I mean, when I say there are a lot of astrological references to the Bible, there are a lot more than I have time to go over tonight. But here's a few examples. Okay. In 1 Corinthians 2, 6 through 8, it says, "We do, however, speak a message of wisdom among the mature, but not the wisdom of this age, or the ruler of this age, who are coming to nothing. No, we speak of God's secret wisdom, a wisdom that has been hidden and that God destined for our glory before time began. None of the rulers of this age understand it, for if they had, they would not have crucified the Lord of glory." Now, this is directly taken from the Mazzaroth and how God, or Creator, or Great Spirit, or Spider Woman, whatever you want to call it, him, her, whatever, created the stars and heavens. They aren't just for gazing at and observing, but divulge divine cosmic messages through the stars. Now, there's also other quotes in the Bible or verses in the Bible that talk about certain things. Hold on, I want to find something here that I'm not going to read this whole scripture, Okay, Isaiah 14:12 through 14. How you have fallen from heaven, O morning star, son of the dawn. You have been cast down to earth, you who once laid low the nations. You said in your heart, I will ascend to heaven. I will raise my throne above the stars of God. Okay, that was more astrological references. And the one that I like the most, and I've quoted this one before, and I think you know where I'm going here with this, if I could find it. Bear with me, you guys. There's a lot of reference to scripture, astrologically speaking, in the Bible. And as a pagan, I don't open the Bible all that often. I was raised in the church, so I guarantee you I can probably quote scripture better than some of you Christians out there. And I'm not saying that to be an asshole. I'm saying that because some of you are just full of it. And I decided to make this basically so you would just shut the fuck up. Pardon my French. Okay? Well, I don't know where it is in this book that I'm looking. Maybe it's Luke. It is. Luke 22:10. And he said unto them, Behold, when ye are entered into the city, there shall be a man meet you, bearing a pitcher of water. Follow him to the house where he entereth in. That's in the King James Version. And speaking of versions of the Bible, and these are just a few scriptures. I could sit here all night and read all 50 of these verses that I have highlighted. But very interesting. But however, the Bible has been rewritten many, many, many times over. So, with that being said, there are major problems with the Bible. It is full of translation issues and errors. The Bible has been rewritten so many times to suit popes and kings, and such as the King James Version, which was rewritten to make King James happy. And in my opinion, probably one of the worst redos in biblical history. Some of these errors are minor, but there are some that are very significant and affect everything that is connected to it. I do feel that this is done on purpose, and it is very intentional because, like the saying goes, the blind love leading the blind. So please remember that the stars are a blueprint to divine celestial messages, just like the three wise men who were astrologers, or magi as some call them, and the star of Bethlehem that was so bright in the sky, because when Jesus was born, I really do think there was some sort of an astrological thing going on. I'm not going to go on a limb and say Saturn was conjuncting Jupiter like we had back in January, where it became really, really bright, but that is a possibility, okay? That planet, those two planets conjuncted at that time. However, I do believe that Jesus was not born in December. I believe he was either an Aquarius or a Virgo, or maybe even a Pisces. I can assure you he sure the heck wasn't a Capricorn, because I'm a Capricorn and I wouldn't give my life for you. I know that sounds so mean. I didn't mean it to come out like that. I'm just saying that that's just not how a Capricorn operates through astrological eyes. An Aquarian, yes, it's about compassion and community and helping and caring and brotherly love. Capricorn is about, in its positive, it's structure, it's discipline, and in its negative, it's manipulation and control. So no, I don't think Jesus was born on December 25th. Trust me on that one. Christianity in general had to conform to pagan beliefs because before there was Christianity, there was paganism. The world started. There's so much more history before biblical text, and the Bible is not a part of history. People like to interject it into history, but it is not part of history. Anyway, what I was trying to say was that Christianity had to conform to pagan beliefs. So they took the worshiping of the winter solstice and the rebirth of the sun, SUN, moved it a couple of days over and created the birth of the sun, SON, on winter solstice, bringing warmth to the earth once again. So many modern day holidays, if you research them, correlate with certain pagan celebrations. This is not an accident. And I've always said since I was in my 20s that Catholicism, I guess I could say some Christianity too, not all, the evangelical side is, and I want to make sure you understand what I'm saying here, because I'm not trying to diss any of my Christians. My mother's Christian. I have people in my circles that are Christians. I'm more talking about you evangelical, holier than thou, self-righteous zealots who think you know, but you don't know. And the world's changing rapidly, and that indoctrination will have to be put by the wayside, or you will be left behind. If you research, you'll find that a lot of holidays correlate with a lot of pagan holidays. Now, like I said, I've always thought Catholicism was like Christianized paganism, because Catholics especially have stolen a lot of stuff from the pagans. In fact, the Vatican itself is built on pagan burial grounds. So the one thing I would like to do someday, if I could ever be a fly on the wall or reincarnate into a bird or a fly, is I would love to go into the Catholic Church's hidden library, because they have the largest library of astrology. And that isn't an accident either. A lot of the stuff that was taken from the Mayan, and according to researchers, there's only like 4 texts that have survived. I have a feeling the Catholic Church has a lot of these things. There's a lot of forbidden knowledge and a lot of forbidden information inside that Vatican library. Now, moving on, and I really hope you guys can hear me. If you can't, could you please let me know? Okay, moving on. In the Tosefta, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. The Tosefta is a compilation of Jewish oral law from the late 2nd century, and a period of the Mishnah, and it states in Kedushin 5:17 that the blessing bestowed upon Abraham was the gift of astrology. Now, the Midrash Ecclesiastics rabbi also stated that non-Hebrew nations were also experts in astrology. Now, before I go on, I want to interject this, because this is very true. The Sumerians, which go back even farther than biblical, the Sumerians were the great astrologers. The Sumerians taught it to the Babylonians, and the Babylonians taught it to the Romans, and I believe the Greeks as well. So astrology has really always been around. Okay, so where was I? Anyway, and so a lot of non-Hebrew nations were also experts in astrology, and this is referring to one of the greatest sorcerers that ever lived. That was King Solomon. And therefore, astrology is one of the oldest sciences and even considered the oldest religion on earth. I don't see it as a religion. I see it more of a science. Religion is something you have to believe in. And astrology is something all you have to do is look up into the sky to see and read. There's nothing to believe in. It's there. It's up there. You see it with your own eyes every night in the night sky. So, and speaking of King Solomon, I have a lot of books on him, and I do a lot of magical work with King. I work a lot with King Solomon energy and a lot of King Solomon oil and all that stuff. So he was a master occultist of his time. I mean, hey, he was able to control 72 demons. Yeah, I think he had a gift, don't you? And if this makes you uncomfortable, please remember that you can't have angels without demons. You can't have God without the devil. You can never get rid of the devil. You're never going to kill the devil like the Christians say. No, that isn't going to happen, because then you're dealing with taking away two polarities. Those two energies balance things out, good and evil. There'll always be good and evil in the world. It does not matter. Not one won't go away. That's just not how it works in the realm of dualities. Now, the Christian church has actually turned astrology into something dark, evil, taboo, and supernatural. And this explains why I'm getting Bible scriptures, in my messages on YouTube. And I don't know if this is in reference to, this might be coming from TikTok, because it wasn't until I started doing TikTok that I noticed the trolling. And my understanding is there are a lot of evangelical Christians that are trolling the people of Witch Talk. So that could be the reason. I don't know. I just don't know. But I decided to come on here and do this because of that. It's not that it bothers me. Like I said, all those messages get flagged. I think one got through. And I'm like, okay. I just kind of find it funny. So I decided to do this. Anyway, yes, religion, Christianity in general, has made astrology into something very evil and sinister. And why would they do this? You ask, why would they do this? Well, simply put, knowledge is power. And if common people can obtain the knowledge, then the church has no power to control you out of fear and ignorance. This is why certain scriptures like the book of Enoch, the book of Nicodemus, and the gospel of the infancy of Jesus Christ, just to name a few, are not included in the Bible. Some scriptures obtain too much knowledge and therefore have been omitted from the Bible today. It's all about appeasing the prevailing religion and political agenda of this time or that time. Many leaders of this world have a master agenda. The end times is a hysteria that will keep you in fear. Hell, when we talk about going to hell, when you think about hell, think about this. Hell is the dense physical plane we call Earth. Just watch the news. It's pretty hellish, don't you think? This doesn't mean Earth will not go through changes and its residents will learn karmic lessons. The planet is not going to be destroyed. Humans might make themselves extinct, but the planet will go on with or without us. Okay? God isn't destroying a planet. Sorry. This brings me to the next subject, the rapture, the apocalypse. The rapture is a fairly new or modern concept in Christianity. And not one of original Abrahamic teachings. For the history, let's talk about the history of where the rapture came from, okay? It all began in 1812 with a Jesuit priest by the name of Emmanuel Lucanza, who first published under a fictional name, mind you. The name he published this book under the name Rabbi Ben Ezra, and called it "The Coming of Messiah in Glory and Majesty." It was in Spanish at the time, but within these pages, Lucanza teaches that Jesus returns not once but twice. Okay, it states that first he will rapture the church so they can avoid the Antichrist or second coming. This book made it all the way to the Archbishop of Canterbury, aka Church of England. Now, what amuses me the most is the arrogance of the church and their thinking that they are without sin and will be saved. In reality, the church is the most sadistic, abusive institution ever. Now let's move on to 1827, when Edward Irving, leader of the Catholic Apostolic Church, oh my God, that was a mouthful, Catholic Apostolic Church, translated Lucanza's writing into English. And he started preaching this to the ignorant masses, and it was called The Secret Rapture of the Saints. This is where the beginning of fear and misguided belief of a rapture all began in the 1800s. You will not find the rapture in the book of Revelations or anywhere in the Bible. And you can thank people like Tim LaHaye, I don't know if any of you know who that is, or Jerry Jenkins, or even John Nelson. Together, these guys created that movie Left Behind and wrote a bunch of insane books about it. To break this down, what they have done is they've pieced together different elements of the Bible and pieced them together with combined phrases and then interpreted them into a single event called the rapture. Now, in 1833, a man named John Nelson Darby introduced, oh, there's a big word, so let me see if I could, dispensationalism. Dispensationalism. What is dispensationalism? Well, it is a form of premillennialism which teaches biblical history as a number of successive dispensations and combining two opposing theologies between the Old and the New Testament, which through Astrophil eyes, which is an astrologer, cannot be done as they are from two different ages and stand on their own, alone. Throughout time to present day, we have religious zealots always trying to predict a rapture. I mean, I could sit here and name you tons of them. From Pat Robertson, who's still alive, mind you, he has tried to predict many outcomes of rapture. And then it goes on to talk about a whole bunch of others. How Lindsay, there's a couple others here. Hal Lindsey was another one. I said Pat Robertson, Jack Van Impe. I don't know if any of you know who these people are. Some of them I don't even know. There was a guy in 82 named Charles Taylor, and he predicted that the rapture would be in 1982. Well, that never happened. And, you know, I'll have to say, after looking at this book a little bit, it's not just Christians that are doing this. There are others. There's others in here that are doing this too, that are not related to any type of religion. Some are more new agey, and they're even saying this. Anyway, through the ages, there have been many people who have tried to predict a rapture. And simply put, folks, that's not going to happen. Okay. Anyway, John Nelson Darby. Very interesting. And he's just one of many. Now, folks, we are in the age of Aquarius in a great many ways. Throughout time to present day, we've dealt with these religious zealots, but they've always predicted raptures and failed in the end because they haven't learned got the celestial messages written in starlight. That's how I'm able to come to you and tell you those days of caution. Okay, I don't just do that for shits and giggles. Okay, I sit there and look at the software and I study the stars and I have to sit there and look at the energies and I have to bring you that information. You know, no matter how negative it is, you have to know it. I also bring you the positive. You know, a lot of you sit there and go, shit, more bad news. Well, I'm sorry. That's just the way the stars are reading. And then it's not, me per se. But like I said, we are in the age of Aquarius. And that story hasn't been written yet. Even the Second Testament of the Bible is only part of the Piscean age. However, you will hear the religious conservatives speak about, here's another one, New World Order. Okay. I've mentioned New World Order too. People speak of it in a very negative tone and they're all freaked out and it's and all its evils. But in reality, think about what Aquarius represents. Look through my eyes, everybody, the astrologer. Aquarius, in its negative, is explosive. It is nuclear. We're in a nuclear age. We, as humans, have the capability of wiping our own selves out and it making us extinct. We will make ourselves extinct. Nuclear annihilation is very possible in these next 2,000 years. This is nuclear energy. It's also rebelliousness. It's eruptions. It's volatile. And in its positive, it is independence. It's free thinking, Renaissance thinking, new age endeavors. It's revolutionary. It's brotherly love. It's about community, free thought. It's going to be about advanced technology as well. UFOs, ETs. It's going to be an age where people will be more open-minded instead of fearful and indoctrinated. I would also like to add that even in the Jewish calendar, after the year 6000, the seventh millennium will be a time of peace, tranquility, and harmony. Now that sounds very Aquarian to me. And if you go and you look, like I didn't put this in the newsletter, but the Jewish calendar, we are in the year, according to the Jewish calendar, bear with me, you guys. I should have put this in here, and this is my bad. I believe we're in the year 5781. Okay, so 5781, we have about 220 more years till this calendar shifts into 6,000 years. And then, according to Jewish calendar and Jewish text, it says that the seventh millennium will be a time of peace, tranquility, and harmony. And so that sounds very Aquarian to me. Like I said, we're just in the beginning phases of this age of Aquarius. And it's not really the age of Pisces that's fighting us. It's the age of Aries. And I'll explain more about that in a minute. Okay. But I could see that 220 years from now, there will be a very different energy on this planet. Hopefully for the better. if we don't kill ourselves in the process. And there are many astrologers, even some of my own colleagues and friends, who've debated when the age of Aquarius really began. And, some say it began in the 60s, with the song The Age of Aquarius. Others say it happened in 2012. And as for myself, this is only for myself and my beliefs and my thought process. I believe the age of Aquarius began in the 40s with the Roswell, New Mexico UFO crash. Have you even noticed that after that event, mankind went into warp speed with technology advances of all sorts? Not to mention the meeting held with President Dwight Eisenhower and the Greys back in the 50s. So for myself as an ancient astrologer, Age of Aquarius began in the 40s. Okay. And it's been here for a while. It's just starting to pick up now, and you're seeing it. You're seeing it throughout the world with certain things. People are becoming more humanitarian, and issues are arising. Social issues are arising that people aren't going to stand for anymore. In the end, the age of Aquarius is very different from the other ages. The age of Aries was about being told what you can and cannot believe. And it was about ignorance of fear. Also, you can call it one-dimensional thinking. The age of Pisces brought you two choices and two-dimensional thinking, and the mantra of fear not. Christ says to fear not. The kingdom of Aquarius is going to bring you anything you choose without indoctrination. We move into multiple dimensions and less limitations. The time of supporting others from all parts of the world and helping them to peace and freedom from oppression will be the norm. The time of tyrannical thinking is coming to an end, and it's the end of an age. They say it's the age of Pisces, but I believe it's the age of Aries, and I'll explain that in a minute. It is not the end of time or even the end of the world, okay? It's just the end of an age. Anytime you look in the Bible and you look up the word kingdom, kingdom means age. In conclusion, okay, the masters of this world want to keep you in fear. They do not want you to obtain forbidden knowledge or think for yourself. However, you cannot bring Aries energy or views into the age of Aquarius. Now, it did happen in the age of Pisces because Aries is very much more dominant than Pisces, but we're not dealing with Pisces anymore. We're dealing with Aquarius. They are the leaders of the mind, and humanity is on the verge of a spiritual awakening. The only ones that are going to be left behind will be the indoctrinated, the fascists, and the religiously poisoned. And I've already pissed some people off. I'm just reading what's being posted here, you guys. Yep. Okay. Well, that's the beauty of blocking someone. Bye-bye, Jesus freak. Anyway, see? I know how to piss them off. That is my little spiel on the Bible and the Mazzaroth. And I could probably sit here all night and go over things with you, but I just wanted to make this short and sweet and explain to you a little bit more about the age of Aquarius. And please don't feed fear. That's what they want. Fear makes you weak. I say this all the time. I've said it with COVID. Don't feed into the fear. And I'm saying it now with those religious zealots out there. Don't feed into the fear, because fear equals control. And that's what they want. And they're not going to succeed in the age of Aquarius. Bad things are going to happen. Yes. And humanity has a lot of karmic redemption coming at them. They're going to have to redeem themselves. It's the way it is. Be good to each other. Be kind. Blessed be. Ciao.